One. All right, how we doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Between the Routes. We got an extra guest with us today. I'm very glad that we can continue this every Sunday. We record this on Sunday. We put it out for you guys on Monday. We're gonna start to have some more guests on here. So you know me, I'm Chooch. Good to see you guys. Happy holidays. We're almost home. We're almost home free. With me as always, Mailman Nick. What's going on, Nick?
Going on. Don't treat me like a 204B over here, and I do not speak on behalf of the Postal Service.
Goddamn right. Uh, yeah, let me just make that very clear. All three of us do not speak on behalf of the post office.
Right, we don't.
So our guest here today is John. John is a union VP in Nick's neck of the woods. It looks like he's been around for a little while, but I could be wrong about that. John, tell me how long you've been around for, a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I've maybe the gray in the beard gave you off on. I've been around a little
Yeah,
while,
right there,
but
buddy.
I've been a carrier since 2001. Started being a union official back in 2014. And I'm not going to go into all the different things I've done, but I'm currently, as of this year, the vice president of the NALC Branch 4016 local, and I also currently am an arbitration advocate for Region 3. So
Fantastic.
those are my current duties, and I just want to come and talk some stuff with you guys today. So let's see what's going on here and see what your show's about.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Nick and I, we got our friendship started like roughly 2 years ago. And, kid's got a work ethic. He's got an appetite for fantastic food. I said he works more hours than pretty much any human being I think I've ever met in my life. And he seems to keep a pretty good attitude about it. So I said, well, I got to work with this guy. I got to work with this guy. If we can't work in the same station, at least we could work on here. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
bear, as they say, bear down. Nick bears down.
Bear down. Eagles and the Bears won
Yeah,
yesterday, so
I
it was a
always
good
yeah
day
we
yesterday.
got to do our quick sports reference always to say thank God we're back on the up and up in Philly and well, we did play two kind of trashy teams, but
A
nonetheless, a
win's a
win's a
win.
win. Win's a win. There you go. You got it. Caleb was amazing yesterday.
Iceman, the
Uh,
Iceman. Burr.
that
That's good.
was and a turnover machine, man. You guys got like a beautiful like array of turnover creations on that squad, man. They'll get that ball when they need it.
Yeah, even with injuries and stuff, the Bears still make plays, and the Packers had some injuries too, but
Yep.
we got the W, which is important. We're still on top of the NFC North, and I'm happy to see it.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
What an ending, by the way. What an ending as last
That
night.
was cinema, pure cinema. That was awesome. I
Good stuff.
from the
Good stuff.
from previous seasons, the Bears were just dog shit. Now they're coming.
Ever
They're top.
ever since the double doink, things have been on the up and up. Yeah.
Yeah, the double doink is infamous in Chicago.
So, good. It's always my best reference point when people talk about the Bears is the double doink.
Oh,
Freaking
brutal.
Jake Elliott's about to have a couple double. He can't even hit the fucking crossbar. He
Damn.
missed two. He missed two. He missed two like his typical field goal kicks yesterday. I'm like, yo, Jake, you're killing me, man.
Well,
Phew.
he's got to make those.
All right, so let's get started with talking about finishing up the year 2025, and definitely the word to describe my 2025 is tumultuous. Definitely uh, as active as you can be in a year of learning, a year of of getting things in order, understanding that you can have a life with this place if you're not like just drawn in so hard by being forced into work in too many hours and being ran like a dog. I said there's a lot of things that we're just continuously trying to teach the carriers to get into people's heads to say, you are the determiner of your day as a carrier, not management, not whatever computer report they put out, not whatever nonsense they try to bark at you in person in the office. When you get the rims messages on your freaking scanner, I mean, that stuff has I don't get we don't deal with that too much at my station. We more or less get text message. If a phone call needs to be made, you pull over, you make the phone call to call into management. We don't usually send messages through the scanner. I see some messages being sent through the scanner via the rims, and I'm just like, yo, this is borderline. It's like a quarter harassment, a quarter, fake
Stupidity.
fake concern, and then the other half is just for pure bullshit.
Right.
So I'm at a point now where I say if the union wants to, put something in on the next lingo, is to say that the RIMS messaging needs to read one way or the other, to say if you're gonna send something where you're busting our balls or making us seem like you're telling us we need to be back by this time, then that's not going to fly. That's just going to tick more people off and make more. It doesn't help productivity with the carrier nor the manager. So
Right.
that's something that is going to come to fruition. But Nick, you do you guys get like your messaging with management through the RIMS system, or do you guys make calls, text? Like, what do you guys deal with?
Yeah, they message us on the scanner, and they we try to do it because we want everything documented because the union can pull it up. Uh, some people in my office don't even answer their phone if management tries to call them. Message me on the scanner. My scanner's not dead. Message me on the scanner. So, if it's on the cell phone, it's easier to not be documented, but on the scanner, they can pull that up and say, hey, my supervisor told me be back at 8. That's why I got back at 8 and did what I did. I'm sure John sees a lot of that type of stuff too. When you get the reports and stuff like that for the scanners.
Yeah, Nick. When I'm of the opinion that we actually should communicate through the scanner more because, as you said, it could be documented, and we get some pretty good. We've used it to definitely sustain some grievances about management's
Hmm.
behavior through those scanners because they're not
Understood.
allowed to degrade, harass, bully, intimidate. Those things violate our contract, and we can't get remedies against them. Where in a phone call, a lot of times it's a he said, she said, and when we carry the burden as the union, we carry the burden of proof when we accuse the manager of that type of misbehavior. It's a lot harder to prove, even if you know what happened, when it's a he said, she said, he said,
Sure.
those kind of things, unless there's witnesses. But the scanner don't lie. You
Right.
texted something, you texted it, and now we got it stamped in black and white. Um, and I find a lot of times managers are using their phone to try to harass a carrier because they don't
Yeah.
want to put it through the scanner. And I've even seen texts where they tell them to call the office. We call those out too. You can't tell them to call the office unless you're going to provide them with a cell phone. We don't have pay phones anymore. It used to be the old days. Carriers would go to the gas station
A payphone.
and make a call, and then they would have to be reimbursed for it or whatever. Those days are long gone. Like
Right.
there's no public cell phone telephones anymore. Really, they're extremely rare.
Right.
So
No,
yeah.
it's funny how like again, like something can be so embedded in a system in one office to say that, this is how we always did it. And then you say, well, this is how it's supposed to be done, to create timestamps, to have that concrete piece of evidence in case something fishy's going down. So, the guys that I communicate with from the different states that show me their messages, I'm like, yo, I mean, you got that. Right, you got that, and they say to me, they do that every day, and I'm like, and what is being done to rectify that? Because as I see it, it's borderline harassment, intimidation, and it's giving you a computer instruction. It's trying to say that the computer is your projection, you should be backed by it, and I'm like, do you guys just give in and do that and or do you call? Or send a message back saying need further instruction, not going to make computer estimate. And some of them do, and some of them don't. Same as anywhere. A lot of people know what to do in that situation. A lot of people get intimidated to skip lunches, skip breaks, just to not feel like they're going to get their balls busted. That's the problem, and that's the thing we're trying to convey. That's what, was put in my union newsletter to carriers who don't essentially attend meetings and, are still trying to get their understanding of what's going on is, are you are the predictor of your day as a carrier, not management, not DOIS, not PET, we the carriers. And that's if we can't get everybody to understand that first things first, we're going to have a hard time getting anywhere else. So that's my stand on that particular subject. But again, I'd like to hear John's, considering he's obviously got more time, and like to say, do you agree with the idea that we need everybody to understand that first concept of that we are the boss, not them, boss of our routes?
So it's one of those things where yeah, we do, you know, if we can't make whatever their mythical time is based on their computer numbers, which is, you know, sometimes extremely unrealistic and other times, you know, somewhere in the ballpark. But
Yes.
regardless, we got to make sure as carriers that we follow our procedure, and then we need to notify our union reps when things are not right.
Right.
And sometimes those things are not happening, and that then they say, well, you know, the post office is toxic, or my union doesn't do anything, or all these different things I hear out there. Number one is, if you give them an estimate and that estimate's going to change, you have an obligation to notify them if you're going to be later than that estimate. That's number one.
Right.
If you don't do that and you just stay out there, you've set yourself up for the problem that you've just created.
True.
Because now you didn't notify them. If you did notify them and they still tell you to come back at whatever time they tell you to come back, you need to file that instruction, whether it's stupid or not. You need to file it. Then when you come back, you ask, what do you want me to do with the rest of the mail, boss? You know, and then they either give you an instruction. You know, if they try to bully, intimidate, and harass you throughout any of this, you need to notify your union official, though.
Right.
Because if we're not notified, then yes, you're just taking the behavior, and you should not have to take that behavior. It's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And then you make sure, you know, if you're told to leave the mail, you fill out the proper form, the 1571 undelivered mail report, to cover your butt, because these managers will turn around and say, I never told them to leave that mail, even when they did, and you know they did.
Yep.
And that's because they're going to cover their own butt if some higher up comes in there and sees wondering why all this mail is in there, because they probably didn't report it like they're supposed to.
Right.
And because they don't want to get in trouble. So it's all this, you know, you got to cover yourself. And I think that's the most important thing you could teach your carriers is file the rules, file their instructions, and then make sure you're filling out the forms. I think that's the hardest thing. A lot of carriers don't want to fill out all these forms, but it's to protect yourself.
Right.
That way, when if it gets to the point where there's a disciplinary matter, or you're saying the manager was bullying you, intimidating, harassing you, the paper trail will help support whatever you're saying.
Right.
And if you don't have that paper trail, you've really diminished your own what you're saying.
John, do you feel, I'm sorry, do you feel like that people are scared to fill out the form, to fill out a 3996? Do you see carriers being like apprehensive with worrying that A, it's going to be denied, B, it's going to create a confrontation, and you're going to essentially feel like that carrier in some cases, not all, is going to give in to that time because management said that's your time and I'm denying you the 35, 45 minutes, whatever, you know, because that happened to yours truly in the beginning and it don't happen anymore.
Yeah.
To answer your question, you know, there's two things there. There's first of all, they're just going to deny it. And I always tell carriers, if they're going to deny it, they're going to do what they're going to do. That's their right as a manager, but you still need to turn the form in.
Sure.
Now, the conflict part, that's the part that shouldn't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen. And it does. I know the reality. I used to be a carrier too. Trust me. I've had back and forth as a manager over 3996, but really don't engage into a big thing. Just look, this is my time. What are my instructions?
Yes.
And just try to get that focus. And if they start becoming mean or intimidating, just ask for your union rep. And they may even get more worse, but then it's going to raise the fact that they're going to start raising their voice. And now you're going to have witnesses. Yeah. And one thing that we need to learn as carriers in some places do really well. The Tinley Park's your office, Nick's really good about standing together a lot.
Yeah.
Some offices, not so much because they're scared and they allow the manager to kind of dictate that tone. But our numbers are one of our biggest strengths. If 8 or 10 or 12 carriers all say, manager was going crazy on the workroom floor screaming at this guy because he couldn't make his time on his 96 and gives a detailed description of what's happened, whether it was cussing involved or degrading or whatever it was, and then we file a grievance, we have a much better chance of success than if it's just everyone turns their back and pretends like they didn't see it and they leave that carrier one-on-one with the manager. Because the manager is always going to get a little bit of deference whether we think that's fair or not, unless we have evidence to support that in most cases.
Very true. Very true. Nick, I apologize. I hear a rumble upstairs that I have to attend to. If you guys could just continue on while I step aside for just a few minutes, I apologize. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem, Chooch.
Yeah, I appreciate
it.
Ooh,
hope everything's cool.
All right, thank you, brother. I'll be back in a jiff.
But yeah, John, we have a lot of outspoken people in my office. Luckily, you know, Tiara and Lois are doing a great job. Every time, you know, my supervisor gets, you know, a little crazy, we have an issue with our vacation. I don't know if Lois told you, we have an issue with our vacation pics. They're not posting them, and they put the first like groups of people, but they're not posting the actual like what people gotten so far. So we don't know what to pick. And you know, Lois is right on top of them, and you know, Tiara, they're both doing a good job. So thank God, because you know, we didn't have really much representation before that. That now they're actually helping. They're really staying on top of, who shall not be named. I don't want to say her name on here, but she's awful, awful. But yeah, how are things going on with your job duties? This is your first like full year, right, as a union VP. So, how's everything going with your first full year?
Yeah, it's been quite the ride this year. Start off with the kind of just a little bit of a cleaning up of some grievances that were left over from kind of what happened, the Ford's regime or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
Not that the president did a good job. It wasn't that. It was just some grievances that were kind of left over when you have a transition that had to, get straightened out. But and then right into just trying to learn the job while also dealing with, how to run. I run the executive board meeting. I chair the executive board meeting, making agendas, figuring out what
yeah,
needs to be done. Patrice runs our president runs the general
yeah,
membership meetings. That's one of her roles. And then, kind of settling in on what she wanted me to do, certain offices. We do a lot of grievance handling since we're the two full-time officers for the second step. But the locals was a wild 30 some odd days, 30 days to do like 35 offices. And we had the state convention in there. So that was a real time crunch.
oh
Um,
yeah,
Going to orientation, we do that every Monday, or at least one of us, if not both of us, labor management meetings. It's just all these different things and kind of whatever duties, like Patrice has kind of asked me to oversee the training of the stewards and those kind of things. And I'm bringing somebody else in to help with the new steward training. So he could kind of take that part and I become more of like the overseer of that. But,
yeah,
there's all these things we're working on. Overseeing the grievance process, helping our stewards, helping our members when they make phone calls, retired members with issues that they got that come up sometimes with their insurance or whatever, or at least
yeah,
getting to the right person. So, we are very busy up there. We have
I'm
MDA,
sure.
of course, MDA, we're helping, even though we're not the MDA coordinator or anything, we always tend to be involved in helping with these different events that the branch puts on that you probably see posted in your office or whatever.
Yeah,
January we got a poker game, we got Mardi Gras in February, and these different things that we do for MDA.
yeah,
Then there's politicians that sometimes want to come speak at our meetings, and they come talk to me or Patrice or whatever, and it's just there's always all these different moving parts that I'm trying to get used to. That when I was recording secretary, I basically handled grievances and did the minutes, and that was pretty much my role. So
yeah. But now you got
uh,
a whole bunch of different roles. Yeah,
yes, yeah, but I like it. Working with Patrice is great. The members have been great.
yeah,
Like stewards in your office, we have a good group of stewards overall. We do
yeah,
have a few offices that could use stewards. That would be a great asset to us in the offices that don't have them. It's harder for us from the outside to steward in an office because we're really dependent on them calling us because we can't be in 35 offices at the same time. And
right.
just don't have a steward. We can't literally be in there every day. It's just not possible. But
Yeah, it was
uh,
rough in our office when we had no steward in the office. It's
mhm,
just no representation. Management feels like they can get away with more, and I get comments every day. I'm not, in the union, but I get comments from people from my YouTube and stuff that say, "Hey, why is my supervisor turned from nice when during my orientation versus now when my LLV's dying? Now all of a sudden." You're public enemy number one to the supervisors. And I'm like, that's just what they do. Don't let it get to you. And it's just crazy how every supervisor, most of them are the same, hostile. It's really but they just got to learn their rights and stuff like that, and they'll eventually learn to just tune that stuff out and do their job, make their money, and go home at the end of the day. Uh, but yeah, it's we started at 6:30. Is Tri-City starting at early in the morning? Or are
I
they
think I saw
later?
in I think I saw that they're having to try to come in at 6 or 6:30 to start Monday.
Oh,
For
okay,
parcel
yeah,
delivery. For parcel delivery, I don't know if that's every carrier, or just the ODLs or not. If it's not just the ODLs and the CCAs and PTFs and non-ODL regulars, there's probably
okay,
um, definitely out of schedule for that. And if they're not working you guys 12, or if they're not working the ODLs 12, then the union steward should be filing a grievance on that because that's basically pre-tour overtime. Because you're
yeah,
still supposed to, if they're going to change your schedule properly, they should have done it Wednesday
yeah,
for the following week. And if they didn't do that, this is technically this is outside of your tour duty. And so you get extra pay for that time, but it's going to be overtime because you're going to come back and do your whole route.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's how it is when we started that 6:30 yesterday, and then they said we're gonna be doing that all week. So I ended up just doing the parcel run. I had to do a parcel run for our other another route, and then I did my route, and then they said we're good. So we must have had everybody, or we must have had everybody to, which is rare. I don't know why I didn't do any overtime. It didn't seem like we were good on help, but I don't know. We'll see on Monday. We had no mail, actually. I don't know if they just hold the mail and then, come on another day, but we had no mail on Saturday. We had packages, but we had no mail.
well, you didn't work until your normal end tour, like 4:30, or I don't know what time you guys start over, 8:30 or 8.
We started at 8, and I clocked out a little before 4. There was no mail, so I clocked out a little before 4. But I started at 6:30, so I got a little bit overtime, which was nice. But leaving when the sun was still out was a little crazy, though. We're used to, clocking out 8 o'clock every day, but yesterday was not too bad. Yeah, I wonder where Chooch is at. Hopefully everything is all right.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
Rumbling. I don't know
yeah,
what that
yeah,
means.
that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Yeah, but Chooch is really good with the radio stuff. Like, he sounds like he's good for radio. He's always he's a good talker for sure. He's out in Philly, and we're both kind of, workhorses, and we met on YouTube, and he's a union official too, so he knows a lot of the rules and stuff, and he's helping out a lot of people, and he's we've been talking back and forth. We have like a postal group chat where we just talk about what's happening. There's people in Florida in the group chat, Philly, California, and it's all the same thing: hostile work environment, and it's all the same. His postmaster and a couple other postmasters are all the same, just harassment, and it's not it's all the same crap, but we still deal with it, make our money, and go home. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that derives from and he went into it a little bit, the computer DOIS or PET or all these different projections they have. Ever since managers have had those, their managers keep trying to tell them these carriers got to make these times, even though it's not. There's multiple memos that say these are not meant to be any kind of standard whatsoever. They still try to force it, and that's where a lot of tension and harassment comes from. Is that right
Yeah.
there? Because they want you
Yeah.
back at the time. You're telling them, well, there's snow out there, boss. There's ice out there. There's this. I had to, these packages. I had a street blocked off. Like, and they don't want to hear any of that.
Right.
So when you live in, I used to tell them when I was a carrier, when you want to live in your own reality of what really is going on out there, and try to make us do that, you're setting yourselves up for these problems. I told a
Right.
couple managers that, and of course they don't like hearing it, but I was a veteran carrier at that time. I didn't really care.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah, when you're a new carrier, it's really hard to stand up to your manager like the way he was talking, and even I'm talking about. I know that. I
Yeah.
know.
When you're new, you just don't want to ruffle any feathers. That's how I was. But now, like, I have a few years in, I'm a little bit more, outgoing with my opinions now that, I know my rights a little bit more, and uh, I know I'm a permanent employee. So when I was a CCA, I was like, I don't want to say nothing bad about management, nothing. I just kind of put my head down and work. But now, I'm able to, speak my mind a little bit more. I still don't like to say names and stuff like that, as far as like if I'm talking bad about, management or something, but uh, I tell it like it is. Management sucks most of the time. They harass you, they're hostile, and you just gotta, just, if they're being hostile, talk to your union, and that's it. That's all we could do, uh, because nobody should be dealing with that type of environment. My office especially is very hostile, and I kind of just, if I get too mad, I just walk away and I let my union know about it. That's it. I don't get into an argument match, nothing. I just you know do my job and go home. That's it.
Yeah, well, I think it was mentioned in our last, I want to say general membership meeting. We have 35 offices, but our top four offices, as far as grievance activities, probably had somewhere over 600 to 700. I'm ballparking it.
Oh,
Grievances
gee.
this year. Tinley Park is in that top four.
Are we?
So, oh yes, and look, these top like three of those offices have probably been problem offices for a long time, and
Yeah,
it's kind of unfortunate that it's like that, but it generally comes down to the some of the offices you have managers who are a little more willing to work with the union, and if we
yeah,
file a grievance on something and they find out they're wrong, which sometimes they have they take a stance and think they're right, and that's why we send it out of office sometimes, right? So if
yeah.
they get a decision telling them they weren't doing it the right way, they fix it. Where in other places they would just they just keep wanting to do what they want to do, and then
Right.
it leads to more hostility, more money maybe coming out of the postal service's pockets because of escalated remedies and these things. But and it unfortunately creates the environments that we see when that happens, because there's not this willingness to just, all right, let's just do what we're supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, that's it's important that we fix these offices, because if they've been problems for a long time, then we got to just nip it in the bud. Some of these managers are just, they're so egotistical that they don't want to admit that they're wrong. And that's a lot of the problem. If you're a manager, why wouldn't you want to work with the union? Less paperwork, more mail delivered. It just makes more sense, instead of just being like, I'm right no matter what. No, if you're wrong, you're wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong. It's really not that hard, and it'll make everything go smoother. But that's crazy. My office isn't. But that with my manager, that makes sense. In
To
the
say,
top.
I would be surprised if you were surprised by that revelation from me at
Yeah,
all.
no. No, I like 700 grievances is wild, but they violate the contract every week, so that
Oh,
makes
I'm not
sense.
saying no. Your office didn't have 700 grievances.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about our top four put together.
All put together, yeah. That's
Yeah,
still a lot.
it's
That's
no, not we don't have any that have no, not that amount at this point. No, but you can imagine our top four. If I'm talking that number, they all have probably over 100 each for sure
yeah, definitely.
for this year. Yeah,
Have you been on Ken's show yet? Ken and Crystal have their podcast. Have you been on it yet, or?
not yet. I think he actually just had our business agent on there recently, and I don't think that one's been released yet. Matt Tanner, he did talk about when it's right, he'll ask me to come on, him and Crystal.
Yeah,
I would definitely like to support it. It's with our branch, so anything with our branch,
yeah,
I'd like to support. And they're doing something a little different with the letter carrier political fund as part of the but it's beyond the satchel, so it even goes beyond that a little bit too.
yeah,
But no one else is really talking about that as much. So at least in the podcasts that I've seen,
yeah.
there might be, obviously I'm not aware of every podcast or YouTube show out there. I'm definitely not. But you know, and yeah, they seem to work well together. So
Yeah, I was on one of their first episodes. They asked me to come on, and Eric Gabriel in my office said they gave me a shout out at the union meeting. They said I was the reason why they started a podcast, which is kind of neat. They're nice people. They asked me to come on in one of the first episodes. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. It's our branch, like you said. I like supporting local people, and they put my name on there. It gets them a little more views, and then they start to grow and stuff. I like supporting local people. Ken, Crystal, uh, hopefully they can get more people on there. But some people in the union, I asked to come on my show, and some, don't want to. They don't want to be on camera, stuff like that. So, hopefully more people would want to, we have a lot of good minds in our union. So hopefully more decide to speak out and, educate people. Like Thaddeus, Patrice, a few people who really know what they're talking about. I would like to see what they would have to say, but some don't like to be on camera.
yeah, some people, and everyone, that's obviously their individual choice whether they want to do these things. So unless it's part of your job description, and it's not for any of us. So, um, but when you're like the business agent or those kind of things, especially when you're going to run for a national office. I think it's in your best interest now to employ these things in social media and all that in the modern age. But,
you work pretty close with Mike Cariff now that you have a higher up position. Do you see Cariff a lot? Do you deal with them a lot or not too much?
I deal with his office, maybe not him, particularly, especially with I'm still do arbitration work, and that derives from his office. The business agent's office controls the arbitration and the step B teams, and then the local branches do the first couple steps of the grievance procedure. It's kind of how it works. And I still do arbitrations about one. I usually do get one date a month on average. And then, if we have questions or, like sometimes we have meetings with at the regional office with all the officers and either like presidents and vice presidents or those kind of things, or stewards meetings, or, we usually have our own branch, trainings too that we participate. Well, we do the pod trainings, I'm sorry, which comes from the business agent's office. It's just the one we do that me and Patrice have done this year. And I think last year, Patrice was definitely involved as well. Comes from them, but when we have it, because of where we have it, it's located in Richmond Park. It tends to be almost just our branch, and then the Joliet branch tend to be the only people who come to that. So it's almost like we get to engage with our stewards there every 2 months to, on anything we want to, on top of doing the training that we're doing, because it's a good spot for us to have them present.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
we both have communication with the business agent's office, and we want to work hand in hand with the business agent's office. That's the way the union, that's how everything should work. We should all be working and discussing things. And if we have an issue that comes up, maybe we never seen before, we call there, and there's likely another branch in the state has seen it or in the part of the country, and they could, they have resources there that, oh yeah, they dealt with this, and we could send you this, and this is how they handled it, and those kind of things.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Definitely. I don't know if Chooch is going to come back or not, so we could just send it, or anything else you would like to add, and then he could, edit this to where he cuts it off right here at the end, and then maybe we'll try another time because, I don't know.
Something's happened.
Yeah, I'll call him later, or he'll probably call me back. But anything else you'd like to add, John? Anything you want to promote? Anything like that?
Promote? I mean, obviously, just everybody always, be safe out there too. That's the number one thing. No matter what the managers are pressing you to do as far as time or anything like that, work safely, wear your seatbelts, when you're driving. Sometimes believe it or not, I've personally seen carriers not wear their seatbelts when they're driving. I'm like, to me, that's a big bad one. We had a carrier, one of our offices, get thrown out of her truck through the front of her window a few years back because she got rear-ended and wasn't wearing her seatbelt. And fortunately she survived and she's back and working and everything, but it's just, don't go, but avoid the icy stairs. You don't need to go up those stairs to the customer in the wintertime if they haven't taken care of the stairs. If you slip and fall off there, not only could you hurt yourself temporarily or permanently, but management's probably going to try to write you up for going up those stairs because it was unsafe. So, and that's the most important thing, is I always want to see all of our members be safe, go home safely. And just remember, we do have contract negotiations coming up in February. There will be starting our contract expires in May. I know this time they've been using some rank and file committees, which is one of the changes they made since kind of some of the stuff from last time. We'll see what kind of fruition that actually bears out, if it makes a difference in how everything's done or not. But I do know our president is going to Washington to be on one of the committees in January. So that's good that they're involving different branches and different perspectives in these things with the national officers up at headquarters.
Patrice should be part of the committee.
She is in January. She's going to.
Okay. I thought you were talking about rental. Cool.
No. These are rank and file committees, so it's people outside of the national officers.
Oh, okay.
Or the business agents. Like they've already had a couple of these. They had them at the RAP session, and I think they had one earlier this year where they spent time on different proposals. And to me, this is definitely a sign of some progress on changing the way we negotiate. And I think some of this, I believe the APWU and stuff have rank and file committees when they do their negotiations. I don't know how, if our rules are similar to theirs or not when it comes to that, because I don't know how they really do things, but I think it's a good thing that we're seeing something new and something changing in the way we do things. That to me, that's always progress, right? And that's hopefully maybe we'll see the things progress a little differently this time than last time, because a lot of the members didn't like what happened last time and didn't like the contract last time.
The dragging out and the crappy contract, double whammy bad. It was terrible. Hopefully we get more money. Hopefully it goes by quick, so people get their the raises and stuff. Not have to wait 2-3 years for their raise. It's crazy.
Yeah, especially in the current environment with inflation and all the different things that have happened. Cost of everything's high.
Exactly.
And sitting around with no raises is rough on everybody.
And I heard a lot of people quit because of that. They waited all this time for nothing, and some people quit. They're like, I'm done. That's not good for us, and we don't need any more bad press. My office is in the newspaper and on these Facebook forums about, check washing and just people don't trust us. It's awful. It's a bad look on the good carriers, and this is our livelihood. It's messed up that people are trying to ruin it for the rest of the good carriers who, I need this job for a living, you know what I mean? So all that makes us look terrible. We got to combat that with, just providing good service and, being the best carriers we could be. That's why I try to combat that stuff with my channel and stuff like that. But John, thank you for coming on. I got to see what happened with Chooch. But we'll end this here. Thanks for coming on, John. Maybe we'll have you on again when all three of us are back on. Thanks for taking the time.
A plan.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, take it easy, John. Have a good Sunday, all right?
All right, you too, brother. You guys take care, and I hope everything's cool with Chooch. Got tongue tied there. All right, take care, brother.